Hello, I'm Brittany Marshall. On this edition of Commuter Connections, we've got you covered on the best transit options to the Preakness Stakes. Also, we're talking safety. It's a top priority at M.MTA. Here's some helpful tips to keep you safe, whether it's by train or bus. With baseball season underway, we'll pay a visit to the Babe Ruth Birthplace Museum. And we're highlighting good deeds, a story on the great work our operators are doing in our community. And Professor Vern is back, giving us a deeper look into railway signaling. All on this edition of Commuter Connections. We start the show with one of the biggest events coming to Baltimore in May, the Preakness Stakes. Thousands will travel to Pimlico Racecourse for the event, and there are plenty of transit options to get you there. We're joined by the M.MTA Preakness coordinator, Stacey Hill, to tell us more about them. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Preakness, huge event for Baltimore in May. Can you tell us just how many riders is MTA actually expecting?
We're expecting between 6,000 and 7,000 passengers to ride our service to the event this year.
That's a lot. That definitely is. And can you tell us just the benefit to people taking transit instead of, driving their car?
Right. The benefit to taking transit as opposed to driving your car is you can relax. You'll know that we're there. You don't have to fight traffic, look for parking, and we offer convenient parking ride service for them.
And tell us more about the services that will be available from light rail, different things like that.
Right. Well, we have the shuttle buses. The shuttle buses will stage at Poly Western. So you could take the light rail to Cold Spring Station. We stop at Cold Spring Station, Poly Western, and Rogers Station. And then from those locations, we'll take you to Preakness. And after Preakness, we'll pick you up and take you back to those prospective stations.
And how many shuttle buses will actually be used for this event?
We're going to have 40 buses to operate, so they'll be running pretty frequently.
And how much will all of this cost for riders? Can you tell us kind of the breakdown for that?
Sure. One-way passes will cost $1.80. A day pass, which I highly suggest, is $4.20 for passengers.
And people are always on the move. They're always on their phones. So can you tell us more about how our app can help them with figuring out?
The Charm Pass, you can upload that onto your cell phone to pay for your day pass. You don't have to worry about losing your tickets anymore. You can just ride all day on that one on your Charm Pass using your cell phone.
And how long will the shuttle bus hours go for people who may be there for a while?
Right. Well, we start at 8 a.m. and we'll finish up about 2 hours after the race.
Mm-hmm. And a big thing people want to know, how long have you guys been planning for this? This is so big for our area. Just how much work have you guys put into this?
Well, we usually start about a month ahead of the Preakness. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of planning, and a lot of manpower for us to do it. Altogether, MTA will have about 100 people that will put this into effect on the day of the Preakness.
And there are other ways for people to learn just about their options to get there. So can you tell us where people can find additional information on how to get to the Preakness by transit?
Sure. You can upload the transit app onto your phone. That will give you options, give you the exact times that you can expect your service. And then you can also check on the mtamaryland.gov website to get more information to get to and from the Preakness as well.
So 2 options, the app and the website.
Yes.
With thousands of people coming, so many people want to know what they can actually take on the bus to be able to get to the Preakness. Of course, they're going to be there all day. So can you tell us just some of the things that they cannot have on MTA buses while traveling to the Preakness?
Absolutely. Alcohol. No alcohol allowed on our buses.
A normal one that you would say, right?
Right. No alcohol, no large bulky items on the buses. That we want to make the ride for everyone comfortable. Mm-hmm. So no large bulky items. If you do bring strollers, we ask that you fold them prior to entering the buses. The large coolers, no large umbrellas, the alcohol, things like that.
And a lot more.
Yeah,
right here. It's a lot more of the list, right? And where can people find that list? I mean, I know there's a lot more, but there's also things that they can bring that might be a little different.
Right, and they can check on our website, mtamaryland.gov, and it will give them a list of prohibited items that they cannot take with them on the buses.
I know you guys are just trying to get as many people on the buses safely there and safely back as possible.
And we want everybody to be comfortable.
Right, exactly. But you can also find that information on Preakness.com.
Yes.
So I'm sure you guys are working together to make sure everyone gets there safely.
And to have fun.
To have fun. That's the biggest point of it, right? Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And up next, transit safety tips you'll want to know about. Learn more about how you can stay safe while riding on transit. Stay with us.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextsstopwrecks.org.
Safety is the #1 priority for MDOT MTA. Whether it's MTA buses, light rail link, or subway link, we strive to keep our riders and drivers out of harm's way. And joining us with some need-to-know safety tips is MDOT MTA Manager of Rail Safety Oversight and Compliance, Roland Carroll. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And can you tell me just how we talk about safety being a main priority for MDOT MTA? Tell us how the Safety Division accomplishes that.
Well, we support the agency mission of safe, efficient, reliable transportation throughout Maryland, but the Safety Division takes that further because not only are we concerned about Maryland, but we want to be the safest transit agency throughout the nation. And we want to make sure that our employees are safe and our riding public are safe. So we have dedicated safety officers who take pride and passion in their mission and going out and doing things to make sure that we are controlling hazards throughout the agency. And along with that, we want people to know that safety is everybody's responsibility. So we have to be responsible for not only our own safety, but all of the people that we work with and everybody around us. And as part of the mission of MDOT MTA, safety is of the highest priority within our agency. We take safety very importantly, and we look for safety tips. And we go out and we speak to people, we engage the public and try to find out their concerns and issues. So safety is the #1 priority within our agency, and all the decisions we make, safety is at the top of that.
And what are some of the things you do to accomplish that? What are some of the everyday things that people in your office do to accomplish that?
Well, on a daily basis, we're very proactive. We go out and do ride-alongs. People don't see it and don't know, but we actually go out and ride the service just like I ride in public. We do facilities inspections, we do investigations, and we have a lot of meetings to meet with our modes and our agency to find out what's going on. We meet with our operators and our employees to find out their concerns and their issues, to try to make sure we're at the forefront in mitigating all of our concerns and risk and hazards and controlling any possible things that may come up that may be a problem in the future. So it's about risk management for us.
And you also are in charge of all the facilities, correct?
That's correct. So we're also responsible for making sure that the facilities are in great shape, that the employees are being safe and using the proper safety techniques, the tools and everything are put away, the shops are clean, and that the facilities are overall in good condition.
And when it comes to traveling, like you said, it's everyone's job to stay safe and keep transit safe. So tell us some of the biggest safety tips, top 3 that you think are the most important for riding any of our transit options.
Well, one of the big things is to make sure that we're paying attention. To take and put our cell phones away, to take off headphones and things like that, to be aware of trains coming in either directions, because trains aren't like trains in the past that make a lot of noise. Nowadays, the trains are very quiet. So we have to make sure before we cross that we're looking both ways, left, right, north, south, whatever direction, make sure we're looking for trains in both directions. Another big thing is the platforms for our Metro subway and our MARC trains. We have to make sure that we're being clear of the platforms, because people have to be careful when trains coming in and out of the stations, not to walk out in front of the trains and not to be standing close, because what a lot of people don't know is you don't have to necessarily be in the direction of the train, but you can get caught up in what's called a dynamic envelope. If you're within certain feet of the train, it could pull you in. So we ask people to stay away from the platforms, which is why we paint the yellow lines on the platform. We ask people to stand behind that. And when we get on our bus service, we ask people to hold on. You know, watch your step getting on and off the bus. Stay clear of the exits and entrances in the buses, and make sure they're holding on, going to their seats and getting up from their seats.
And so these are pretty simple tips that the biggest thing is just staying aware, and for people to be aware of their surroundings.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we have a saying, if you see something, say something. And in order for you to see something, to say something, you have to be paying attention. And then to help that effort, we also ask that if you have a problem, speak to the operators, or you can call the MTA police.
Tell me, how many employees do you have, and how many people actually work with the safety division every day?
Well, we actually have 7 dedicated safety officers, and we cover a lot of area. Not only do we cover Baltimore City, but we cover the entire state of Maryland. So we have 7 safety officers who work tirelessly, and they take a lot of pride in what they do, and safety is a priority for them.
And going back to some of those tips, they can be different for different modes, of course. What are some safety tips that you have for people traveling our system through buses?
To make sure that they see everything. You know, if they could put their cell phones away and take headphones off, and just make sure they're taking their time stepping up and stepping off of the buses, making sure when they're riding the buses that they're holding on, clearing the exits and the entrances for the buses, and to make sure that they're seeing everything. You know, you want to make sure that when you evacuate the bus, or if something was to happen, you know the easiest and the safe way to get off the bus.
And for Light Rail Link, I know you talked about stepping away from the platform. Is there any other tips?
Oh yeah, be patient. You know, let the trains come to a complete stop, you know, and again, hold on, let the train come to a complete stop. Be patient. Patience is a key in safety. The train is going to stop. The operators are trained to look out to make sure that the people exit and enter properly. So just be patient.
All right. And for people who may be riding on the subway link, similar to light rail, but is there anything different that you guys may know about for safety?
The same thing, be careful on the platforms. You know, if something falls in the platform area, the people need to know the station attendants are there for help for them. So safety, not only from the safety department and the safety areas, but all the people our safety attendants, our station attendants and police officers are trained to help the people with safety issues. So if there's a concern in the metro subway, something's not right, they can go to the station attendant or pick up one of the phones in the stations for help.
And there any upcoming events that you all have for your safety officers?
Well, every month we have a safety campaign. So we try to come up with something new every month to go out to our employees. And like I said, with the weather changing now, we're going to be out on the platforms, engaging with the public, telling them and teaching them about important safety tips.
All right, well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up, our new segment that focuses on the people of MTA and their impact on the community.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
We've been cooking up something new for everyone, a new segment that focuses on the people of MTA, from the operators, mechanics, and supervisors. It's all about getting to know them better and their commitment to keeping our area moving. This story is about 2 operators making a difference by doing the extraordinary and the ordinary.
8 years old, out here by itself.
I had to be a local hero because anything could have happened to that young girl.
I'm Moisaret. I'm a MTA bus operator out of Northwest Division. I was on the 85 line heading towards Milford Mill. I noticed a girl without a coat and no shoes on, a little girl about 8 years old. It was cold out, so I figured I'd stop and open the door. When I opened the door, she ran right in. The supervisor told me to proceed on to Milford Mill Station. or the parents showed up about 15 to 20 minutes after I arrived, of course, so it's ecstatic. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like I'm a human being. If you see someone in need, you try to help them out.
So for a lot of the riding public, our operators can really become like family.
739, pretty cool.
I'm badge 739, Linda Davis. I've been at M.MTA for 15 years. I started in 2004. Yes, I do. I enjoy my job. I guess what I like most is the driving skills and ability that I have. And then secondly, the public, the people who I carry around and service every day.
My name is Robert R. Brown, and I'm a retiree from Verizon Services, and I ride MTA daily. That it makes my heart feel good when I see them looking out for the elderly.
And so, yes, when you don't see them on a particular day, you ask, I didn't see you yesterday, anything going on? So it sort of becomes family, extended family.
I call in commendations on bus drivers who deserve praise. I commend them.
It's always appreciated when someone notices that you take the time to do your job well, that you give everyone respect and courtesy and kindness, because that's what I like to receive from people. So when someone singles me out, it makes me feel good, makes me feel like I'm doing my job right.
Coming up next, Professor Vern is back with his eccentric yet informative message on the importance of railway signaling. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
Hey, Mom. I got the job.
You've got the job. Welcome aboard.
I've got a job to do today. Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Donate to Goodwill. Help provide job training in your community.
Have you ever wondered how the technology behind railway signaling works and how it's used to prevent collisions on the rails? Well, Professor Vern, he's got the answers. He's our go-to person for understanding all things technical and scientific in transportation, and he's here to break down the technology behind railway signaling.
Whoa, Professor Vern, should I even ask what that is?
Good morning, Administrator. As you know, in very cold weather, we have problems with mechanisms freezing up. So I'm developing this hand laser that can heat materials instantly.
Oh, that's so cool, but watch where you're pointing that thing.
Oh, absolutely, Administrator. It should have completely vaporized the liquid. I guess I have it set too low. Anyway, how can I help you today, Administrator? I'm going to move this out of the way.
Well, Professor Vern, I so enjoyed our discussion on traffic signals. I was hoping you could help me understand how railway signals work.
Sure, Administrator. I'd be glad to explain. The purpose of railway signaling is to prevent collisions. Railroads commonly use red and green colored signals, similar to traffic lights, to inform the train operator that they have permission or authority to move the train.
That sounds logical, Professor Vern, but how is it done?
Most railways use track circuits to electrically sense that a train is present in the block. I have a mock-up to demonstrate the principle.
Another Professor Vern mock-up? Let's check it out.
Absolutely. What we have here is a basic railway with 2 blocks and a colored signal located at the entrance of block 2. Now, the 2 blocks are mechanically joined but electrically separate. Now, this is done by what's called an insulated joint, or iJet.
That's quite a cool vintage model of our light rail vehicle, Professor Vern.
Yes it is, Administrator. Now, our model also has a track circuit, and it consists of a battery, a relay, and they are connected to the track rails.
Professor Vern, what is a relay?
Sharp question, Administrator. A relay is an electric switch. When battery voltage is applied to the relay, it has a coil that energizes, and this illuminates the green signal as we see here. Now, if I short out the battery voltage using a wheel set, then the track circuit will drop out and the signal will go red.
I get it, Professor Vern. When the train moves into block 2, its signal will turn red.
Administrator, it's not as simple as it looks. Let me explain.
Well, sorry, Professor Vern. Sometimes I try to solve the puzzle too soon.
Well, just by coincidence, you happen to be right this time. When the light rail vehicle moves into block 2, its metal wheels and axle will short out the track circuit, making the signal go red. What we have here is that a green and red signal is used to grant or deny movement into block 2, and the signal color, also called an aspect, is controlled by a track circuit. This is known as automatic block signaling, or ABS. I will demonstrate.
Professor Vern, so our model scale signal system is ensuring that only one train can enter block 2, ensuring there are no collisions.
Exactly, Administrator. You got it right this time.
What do you mean this time?
Now, imagine an entire railway divided into blocks, with a red and green signal governing entrance into each block. Now you can imagine how trains are protected against collisions. Now I want to show you what a real track circuit relay looks like.
Wow, that looks gigantic compared to our scale model relay.
Absolutely, Administrator. That's a precision mechanism, and it gets calibrated by an electronic technician. And it's also called a vital relay.
Awesome, but why is it called a vital relay?
Administrator, you always ask such focused questions. I assume you've gone to executive seminars to develop that skill.
Actually, my children have taught me the art of endless questioning.
Yes. Well, anyway, railway signaling systems are designed with vital parts in that they fail safe. You see, if the smallest vital part breaks, then the signals display the most restrictive aspect, essentially stopping train movement. Therefore, safety is the most important feature of railway signaling systems.
Professor Vern, I can't thank you enough for explaining to me how railway signaling works.
My pleasure, Administrator.
My coffee got cold.
Oh, let me take care of that, Administrator.
Whoa! Professor Vern, what happened to my coffee?
I must have had it set too high. Oh well, you know what they say, too much coffee is no good.
I should have known that would happen.
Thanks, Professor Vern. We look forward to another interesting and informative segment. Up next, a look into the birthplace of a baseball legend, Babe Ruth. How his birthplace turned museum is the perfect destination for baseball fans this season.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Orioles baseball is back in Baltimore, but there's a place that's open all year round for baseball fans. It's the Babe Ruth Birthplace Museum. It's filled with rich sports history, and it's in walking distance from Camden Yards. Joining us with a look on what the museum has to offer is Director Emeritus and historian Mike Gibbons. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Happy you're here. And can you tell us just some of the history of this museum?
Well, it opened to the public in 1974 as a shrine to George Herman Babe Ruth, who is arguably America's most celebrated sports star. Everybody knows who Babe is, and he got his beginnings right here. And so the city decided it's a city-owned building, and they converted 4 row houses into this shrine to Babe Ruth. So it's been open to the public since 1974.
And what can people find when they visit?
Well, it's primarily about Babe Ruth, and you see the historic house where he was was born in 1895, but we have surrounded that historic house with 3 other row houses filled with baseball memorabilia on Babe Ruth. So you see some really cool things on the Babe. Baseball bats, baseballs. He was very well known for his signature. He signed millions of baseballs for children of all ages, and many of them remain today, and a few of them have made their way to the Babe Ruth birthplace. So it's kind of fun. But you also see things about his family. His parents were here. They were saloon keepers. He was born in the house where we have the museum was his grandfather's house, and he was an upholsterer for a nearby furniture making company. So we get into a little bit of the history of that as well.
It's something people need to know.
I think so, yeah. It talks about his Baltimore roots, and I think a lot of us can identify with that, where it's a blue-collar, working-class neighborhood where he was born.
And could you tell me something, probably the biggest things when people come in to see it that they're most fascinated about?
The baseball bats that we have of his, because he was known as the ultimate power hitter in the sport. And so we have several of his bats on display. In 1927, he set the Major League home run record for a single season by hitting 60 home runs. And one of the bats that he used in 1927 is on display at the birthplace. So people look at that and go, wow, that's pretty cool.
And how were you guys able to get this memorabilia? How are you guys able to acquire that?
It all started with his family. When the birthplace was, when they were making plans to convert it into a museum, the Babe Ruth family came forward and said, well, we'd like to contribute some of his personal belongings and some of his game stuff too. So that's where it all got started. And then over the years, the general public got involved. Somebody who may have collected Babe Ruth things would come to us and say, I've got something for you. And the interesting challenge that we have now is that Babe Ruth memorabilia is worth a lot of money in many cases, and so people, if they want to get rid of stuff, they tend to want to sell it as opposed to donating it to a sports museum. So that's a challenge for us, but nevertheless, we get good things.
And what's some of the latest things that you guys have gotten in?
Well, I mentioned that Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs in 1927, so that number, 60, is very famous in baseball, and a man recently came forth with a rare scorecard from the 60th home run game, so you can see how the fans scored it and when the 60th home run was hit. So the guy donated that to the museum, and it actually is going on display for the first time on opening day, so for the Orioles. So we're very excited about that. And we have taken in some uniform parts that people will be able to see as well. Babe Ruth was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom on November 30th last year. It is the highest civilian honor in America. And that medal, which was given to his family, is now on display at the Babe Ruth birthplace. So you can see a real Medal of Freedom, and that's kind of a cool thing.
That's amazing. That's a big honor, so yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's good.
And so all these new things coming to the museum. How can people get there? Where is it located? And walking distance from Camden Yards. So tell us about that.
That's right. We are 2 blocks from Camden Yards, and several years ago we got permission from the city to paint stenciled baseballs into the sidewalk. So as you go from Camden Yards to the birthplace and or back again to Camden Yards, there are 60 baseballs representing the 60 home runs in 1927 that point you in the direction to go to the Babe Ruth birthplace. And a lot of fans who come up for the game or whatever will go to Camden Yards and then they'll come over and see us.
And what direction is that in for people who may not be aware?
Well, we are west of Camden Yards by 2 blocks. So we're near the University of Maryland Medical Center. So right in the hub of all that activity over there in the community of Ridgely's Delight.
All right, on Emory Street.
That's right, Emory.
All right. And how much is it to get into the museum? Cost is important, so I know people want to know.
Absolutely. Well, $10 for big people and $6 for little people, and a similar price for old people like me.
And for people to be able to do that, where can they find information on the museum and and how to get there? Where can they find
Well, they can go to our website, baberuthmuseum.org, and get information about the museum and about upcoming events that we have. For instance, opening day, we have 600 people coming for an opening day block party, and then we take them to the game. And so things like that, but it's all at our website, baberuthmuseum.org.
What's the hours of the museum? One more time.
In baseball season, April through September, we are open 7 days a week, 10 to 5, and we stay open later for baseball games.
Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another edition of Commuter Connections. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.